What's up fellas, Panda here, and I want to talk about the current state of the game from someone who plays it as a competitor and a commentator. Now I'm going to be honest, it's going to be a bit more of a rambly video, a little bit different to what you guys are used to considering I do a lot more scripted work. But yeah, this is going to be very rambly. First off, I want to talk about the positives being the current patch in terms of balance, and I think this game is currently balanced really well. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that I think there is no character that is playing their own game right now. For example, top 1 Happy Chaos, top 2 Goldless, all that stuff. Like, to look at the top 5, I think in my opinion is probably Sin, Johnny, Goldless, Potemkin, and Ram. Not in that order. I would say number 1 is probably Sin or Johnny, then I'd probably say Ram, then I'd say Goldless, then I'd say Pot. Don't get me wrong, these are all top 5 characters, and I don't think there's much that's actually differentiating them, but I would definitely say Potemkin is actually like playing the same game as everyone else. I think that is a great thing for the current state of Strive. I think that's an awesome thing. I believe that the only low tier picks right now are truly Bridget, Faust, maybe Melia, and maybe Zao. When it comes to Melee, I'm not 100% sure because I think the health values going down and her defense going up might help her because that was her genuine problem. I don't think there was a problem with her kit, it was just kind of her existing with her kit. With Bridget, it's just kind of like she does too little damage for this current patch of the game, but like we don't want that damage to get buffed because then it'll be like shit, like why do they have high, low, and reactables and all that, and then they do so much damage. And with Faust, simply put it, a lot of his moves are very negative on whiff, on block, and there's no safe cancel you can do against Johnny, who's one of the top tiers right now. And in terms of Zao, Zatin 1. That's the interesting thing though, is that I do think that the current patch of Guilty Gear is actually very well balanced in terms of character strength. Only few are weak and only few are truly top tier, and I'm happy with that, honestly. I would say that when it comes to the game right now, the only thing that really needs changed is the base mechanics. I'm going to get talking about Wild Assault. Blue Wild Assault has a clear weakness in terms of it can be thrown in a block string, meaning if you're on point you can backdash it, throw it, and that powerful advantage that's gained with Blue Wild Assault disappears. The weakness on White Wild Assault is if you make a clean read in neutral against it, you can defend against it, make it -3, or hell even go for a throw if you're feeling confident enough, allowing you to take advantage, punish it, and actually tell them that they can't be doing that. Orange Wild Assault has no weaknesses whatsoever. Wild Assault in general is just very overtuned. Again, even blue, despite the fact that I think it's got a very fun weakness, I do think it's very powerful. It does guarantee a lot, and if you got the opponent in the corner, they're not willing to backdash or try to throw it because there's so many other things that can happen in the mental stack of being stuck in pressure with a Blue Wild Assault Potemkin. But I think Orange Wild Assault genuinely has no weakness. It genuinely makes a character like Johnny have no weakness. One of his problems is kind of confirmability, pressure off of his spare normals, but just like that, you give him a // Roundstar Wild Assault, and he's in pressured scenario, and that's him. He just runs it from there. And yeah, that's why I think Johnny's very powerful right now. Isn't necessarily his toolkit, which is a strong toolkit, mind you, with the long reach, the zoning capabilities, massive poking, big counter hit confirms, high lows that are unreactable, good damage. But you add Wild Assault to that, just like that you cover someone's weakness like confirm abilities off of our normals. If you landed a 5H, there's not really a lot that you can do to confirm it full screen, but with Wild Assault that changes. So in my mind, when it comes to nerfing, we've got to go after the base mechanics before we go after the characters. And this is the tricky part, and that is obviously touching upon Wild Assault because it is a resource mechanic. It's a mechanic that uses the resource of Burst, and Burst is a powerful resource, so it has to have a powerful reward for using it. And being able to break out a combo is certainly a powerful reward. Being able to use it to get positive bonus is definitely a powerful reward. But the question is, how do you balance something that uses half a bar of burst to give pressure? And in my opinion, I don't think it's possible in a game like Guilty Gear. The main reason for this is with Orange Wild Assault, you can use it to stagger away. Same with Blue Wild Assault to build up meter, and it gives you pressure, and just like that, you've built up a bar of meter off of one pressure sequence because of Blue and Orange Wild Assault, either on combo or on block. And that's the scary thing, is that you just get to build so much meter in such a meter heavy game where meter is probably the strongest mechanic in Guilty Gear. being able to BRC, being able to PRC, being able to RRC, being able to YRC is a powerful mechanic in any form of circumstance, and that heavily affects offense with Wild Assault because it builds it up. And just like that, because you've used these tools, you've got access to another great set of tools, and then it kind of keeps going back and forth. You break them through the wall, you get back your burst, you get back your meter, and then you realize that Guilty Gears became an extreme meter dependent game where meter is just flying out of everywhere. You get hit, you get a ton of meter. You get put through the wall, you get a ton of meter. You get positive bonus, you get a ton of meter. You land a combo, you get a bar for a super. It's ridiculous, I'm gonna be real. If you look at meter in other fighting games, they're kind of like these one-off tools that you try to use to try and take a win. Look at supers in Street Fighter, they'll try to use those level 3s in the final moments of the game, or try to hit confirm into a game-ending scenario. In Guilty Gear, people are literally using it to recover a normal that's minus on whiff. Like, that's very powerful, and we're getting a ton of it so quickly. So it makes you wonder, how do you balance Wild Assault to make it so you don't gain as much meter? And I don't think you can. You have to lower the meter amount, and you have to lower what Wild Assault does, because Orange Wild Assault shouldn't just be a free tool to use in my mind. But then again, I saw Deck, he recommended that they should make the normal one -3 and then the charge one have all the crazy properties it has. And I'm like, that's a good change, but then the next problem comes is like, why would I use half a bar of burst to do uncharged Wild Assault if it gives me nothing? Like, if I wanted a safe ender, I would use my safe enders, you know? Like, for example, Johnny Mistfinder. If I wanted to end a block string to stay safe, I would use Johnny Mistfinder. And the charge version of the Wild Assaults are very reactable, so much so you'll be able to throw punish it almost every time, so then you have to wonder how do you balance charge Wild Assault so it's actually usable. And this is where it gets really messy, and this is why I don't think Wild Assault should be a mechanic in Guilty Gear. Despite that, I don't think it's the worst mechanic. I think it can work. I just think in a game like Guilty Gear with the way it is, it doesn't really. Essentially, this is just a drive rush. That's the way Orange Wild Assault is. It's just a drive rush, like the same way in Street Fighter, except that game's balanced in terms of when you use your drive rush, you can't block. You get chipped away, and everything gets 4 frames added on block stun to tell you, don't do this too much, dumbass, you'll die for it. And I don't think there's any punishing mechanic like that for Guilty Gear besides you lose out on your combo burst, your combo breaker opportunity. But even at that, it's like if you play a tanky character like Potemkin, you're going to see burst more often than not. You get put through the wall, you're going to get it back. You get hit, you're going to get it back. You burst them through the wall, you're going to get it back. So, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Burst is a very powerful mechanic. That leads to you getting a ton of tension, which is also a powerful mechanic, and I don't think there's any real way to balance a mechanic like Wild Assault with burst. I feel like they should have done something else. I try to theorize stuff like this for ages, like how can you buff it, how can you nerf it, how can you make it interesting while keeping its strengths, and I don't think that's possible, genuinely. In my opinion, I'd probably get rid of it and just stick with Deflect in that way. I don't think it's going to work like that, sadly. Yeah, that's what I would probably go after. I'd go after the base mechanics, try tone them down a bit, because that's why a lot of the characters, crazy as they are right now. Try to change it so Charged has a purpose and Uncharged doesn't. But even at that, it's really difficult to balance in my mind. It's very difficult. And one thing I want to mention at the state of Guilty Gear is that it's losing a lot of hype, and that's simply just due to the fact that the Season Pass has already revealed all the characters to us. And I feel like missing out on that anticipation that we had every like month or so, like when's the next trailer, it's kind of died down, because you know the characters that are coming, when beforehand you had no idea. You had no idea what characters were coming. So it kind of creates this thing where you're like, well, I guess we wait until the gameplay trailer. We wait until the music trailer. And just like that, you've not really interested the newbies into it, I would say. Because the newbies want to see the cool animations and the music and the reveal. You've already shown them a reveal, you've already taken away half the wonder. And I feel like that's a shame, because could you imagine if they just dropped the Lucy trailer with a little bit of gameplay before telling us that she's going to be released in Season 4? Could you imagine how hype that would have been? Like, if they're maybe working on a new Cyberpunk series, or if Arxis were working on something else, and then you just see this trailer, that'd have been great. That'd have been great. I think the main reason why people aren't really enjoying Strive right now is simply because of the fact that the balance keeps changing, it keeps flip-flopping, and the fact that the current state of the game, despite the fact that it's balanced, it has really disgusting baseline mechanics, and they need to be changed. Talking about the patch notes and how they were handled, they were awful. Yeah, day one having bugs that were horrendous genuinely made the game very, very messy. And then having the patch afterwards to fix it, there were still some top tier characters that were broken, disgusting. Like, dude, top 2 goalers in RAM, disgusting, disgusting. And then they brought back Kara's without really adjusting anything. That's made Pot a top 5 contender. But people are complaining about Kara round start Potbuster when they should be complaining Kara back Mega Fist, but it's okay, they don't understand, it is what it is. And it feels like Arxis are in a bit of a rough state where they don't know how to fully balance it because they want to take the focus away from Guilty Gear to focus on their main projects that are coming up, which I totally get. It makes a ton of sense from a company standpoint where you're like, we're trying to move on, we're trying to work on different projects, so why would we stick to this? So that's why I'm like, fair enough, but unfortunately, it's caused this big divide within the Guilty Gear community where we don't know how we want it, and a lot of people dropping the game, picking back up the game because Kara's got removed and all that, people dropping the game because of Wild Assault, and then new players coming into it, probably going to enjoy Wild Assault, going to enjoy it, and just like that, they're probably going to change it in a way that makes it not enjoyable to them, and that's probably a feature they really enjoyed, and I don't know, man, I don't know. There's been a lot of flip-flopping recently in the patch notes. I kind of hope that they stick to this one for a good while and then come back to it later, but I don't know, it's a bit of a rough state for Strive right now, just in terms of like how they're trying to balance the game and trying to handle it. But I don't know, man. This is a bit of a ramble piece. I just wanted to talk about the state of Strive a little bit. Enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe. You guys want to help me out with the algorithm, you know what to type, you know what I mean? So type algorithm. And check out the Potemkin guide I made. I think it's really well done, very well put, and it has very fun visuals. But thank you, fellas. I'm going to peace out. But yeah, be sure to catch me on the stream on twitch.tv, Patriarch Panda. But I'm going to peace out, fellas. Have a good one. And keep saluting, brothers. Sue.